But you know, when you say Homo Luminous, that really catches me, because they didn't say light bulb man or shiny man or woman or whatever. There's Homo Luminous. So words are very important. And this is another thing I'm picking up on in the world, that words and the true meaning of words are becoming more and more important. It's interesting. But yeah, Homo sapien, Homo sapien sapien, Homo Luminous. So there you saw genetic change. So this idea that the brain got bigger, genes have to be altered, DNA has to be altered so that babies are born with those bigger brains. And this is where this tie-in with what's influencing the planet and the energy worlds ties in with genetics, because you know the Chinese sent some pumpkin and tomato seeds a couple of decades ago up in one of their orbiting spacecraft. And when they brought them back to Earth and planted them, they grew as giant tomatoes and giant pumpkins. Something had altered the genetic material. And the Ciba-Geigy Corporation, big chemical corporation, they, using beams of a certain frequency, they could change the fruit on a tree from apples to pears within a couple of weeks. So you had a very physical, dense thing, but when the frequency was of a certain order and a way, it would change the DNA print. So this is also, I think, part of the prophecy, is that as this greater energy and intensity comes into the planet, that it has the potential to change genetic and DNA as well. As I personally think it has done all through history. I don't think it came from what a person ate or their diet or whatever. It's what's influenced it. And you know, you talk about something like the Renaissance. That was a huge leap in human ability. And as you say, in everything, the arts, science, medicine, even knowledge of history. You know, in the Middle Ages, there was like no knowledge of history. They hardly knew anything about ancient Egypt, but then all of that started to be brought into the mix, almost as if preparing for something in the future. You know, now with a lifetime of 75 years, if you're lucky, time can seem like it takes ages, but in the bigger picture, in the cycles of things, you know, 500 years or so since the Renaissance is nothing. It's like a second on the clock.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people, coming back to the here and now, I think a lot of people are concerned about the state of the human race, how things are going. We still seem to be behaving badly. Still seems to be a lot of stuff going on that makes you wonder how it's ever going to be resolved. So I think somehow within this conversation about prophecy, part of you is almost hoping that there is something that's going to uplift lift the human to a level of engagement with the universe that's dignified to the design, the complexity of the situation that we're in. Whatever you want to say about God or the creation or the universe, there's obviously some intelligent design. For example, you're talking about genetics. Perhaps also that 90% junk that they say is in the DNA is not junk, but stuff waiting to be activated. Because it can't be a coincidence that they say 90% of DNA is junk. And at the same time, the brain also has 90% capacity we're not using. Because if it's preset in the model, is it preset so that a bit like a TV with a remote control, when the right signal comes in, the activation occurs? I mean, this is what the Uraeus of the Egyptians seem to be saying, isn't it? I mean, the eyes only go up halfway through the head. You got all this vacant space here, and the Egyptians somehow activated it and had this Uraeus. In India and other places in the world, they had spots and things to say that this area had been activated with a power, and they just expressed it differently. So I believe this force coming in is also going to activate things in us. Again, it brings up, every answer brings up, or every indication brings up more questions, because what if your thoughts become more powerful?
Yes.
What if your mind and emotional state is more conductive and it affects people around you more, it impacts on people? I guess, as we're winding now, it jumps back to the Ruby Mountain idea, because we start the whole journey with a look at the electromagnetic side of the human, atmospheres in your house, atmospheres in the neighborhood, trying to get demystify a little bit this area of the unseen worlds in and around us. And I believe it's interesting in itself, but it's also, if what we're saying or seeing is true with this prophecy conversation, it's also wise to familiarize yourself with it. It's a bit like knowing how to use a surfboard because there's a wave coming.
Good analogy.
Like the Aborigines are talking about this wave of force, and you're going to know how to operate it if you get that speeding up that your was it your great grandmother or your grandmother?
My great grandmother. Yeah, all in her lifetime. Yeah.
Edna. Yeah, she witnessed it. I think, when you think about what she witnessed and what's happened in the last 100 years, I think we're still going to witness amazing things.
Yeah.
But I think at some point it's going to be more to do with a natural shift, which is kind of where we've been revolving around in this conversation, rather than what the human's been doing, which is externalizing everything into technology.
Yes.
Great, nice to have all this, technology, but we've also got a natural system that has incredible technology, the brain and the even the hormone system, the homeostasis. It's stunning. And it works on electrical principles also.
Well, one of the really hopeful things I see, because that's what I love about the Ruby Mountain study. It's based in natural law, how the human system works, which humans didn't invent. So in times of doubt and change, it's good to come back to something solid, which is what the ancients based their knowledge in as well, and turning out to be very accurate and reliable in all sorts of ways. And there's this phenomena where in chemical labs around the world, if they're trying to crystallize a new compound, a new substance, it's really, really difficult. It takes ages and ages, and kind of half crystallizes and doesn't work. But once they've crystallized it, once they've done it, all the labs around the world can instantly really just get the recipe and the formula and they reproduce it. And that's this very ancient idea in terms of physics and chemistry, where it doesn't necessarily take every human being on Earth to be interested in this or to move that way. Some people think it's only 2 or 3% because of that phenomena that when a new thing is created, the potency and the signal of it contagious very, very quickly. It's now possible. So even in terms of human evolution, those little jumps, it must have been very, very difficult and on and off and a bit here, but once it was established, then it took off. And I think that's going to be the case with Homo Luminous. I can feel it, I can see evidence for it. It's very hopeful for a better future, that's for sure.